Hi, my name is Monica Kretschmer. I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Woman of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast, where we speak with women who lead, inspire, and motivate. Now, today I have a very special guest, and we did a little bit of a interview live in Monaco just a few months ago. And so I'm going to introduce her, and I'm a big fan of the world of motorsports. And so today we have Caroli Remmlinger, who is an expert in human potential, mental performance, and career development. She coaches elite racing drivers across karting, formula racing, and endurance motorsport, helping them develop the mindset to consistently perform under pressure. Every driver she has coached has reached the top step of the podium. Beyond motorsport, Caroli works with business executives and leaders in the entertainment industry, translating elite performance psychology into practical strategies for leadership, decision making, resilience, and personal growth. Based in Monaco, Caroli combines science-backed performance psychology with real-world experience to help people unlock their full potential. Welcome, Caroli, to the Woman of Inspiration podcast. It is great to see you again, and listeners, get ready to be inspired.
Hello, Monica, and thank you so much for this invitation.
Well, it seems like just yesterday that you and I were locked down having some great conversation in Monaco. And, now we're a million miles away, but, it feels like, no time has lapsed. So I'm excited that we could actually have this podcast interview and really dive in a little bit deeper into some of the topics that we only touched the surface on when we spoke in Monaco. So let's start at the beginning here. Let's talk about your journey. And, for those of you listening, we did a power era, a live chat in Monaco. So we have an expanded version of this conversation on Instagram. So, Carolee, do you remember what you wanted to do when you grew up? I mean, you're in motorsport, you're doing completely work that is, there's no clear path to the work that you're doing. So how did your journey lead you from those early years to Monaco in motorsport and becoming one of the leading experts in mental health, mental performance?
Wow, this is already such a difficult question, Monica, but a really good one. I am not one of those children that stated from the very beginning, oh, I want to be, I don't know, a firefighter or I want to be a princess. Um, I didn't have it. I loved so many things that I was telling my mom stupid things like, oh, I want to work with animals, then I want to be a dancer, then I want to be this and that. I had never straight path. But what I loved was talking to people always. And fast forward, I was studying many different things. It was tourist industry, it was Scandinavian languages and literature, um, English and American studies. It was nothing that brought me to where I am right now, but it gave me obviously new experiences. I traveled the world, I lived in many different countries. And yeah, talking to people was always there. Kind of psychology, I was always interested in our brain, how we think, what we say. And somehow organically, it was first with ski jumpers and Nordic combiners when I started to give advices, and they were good and they were bringing the results. Even if I was absolutely not thinking to do something like this for my business. Then fast forward, I made a career in corporate world. So this gave me insight into business. And fast forward from this, first business coaching was born. And after this, it turned into the sport, into motorsport.
So, you know, I know that we could probably have a whole separate podcast basically on your career path because it's truly remarkable. I remember when we were talking in Monaco, how you had grown up in Poland and, it wasn't feasible financially to study psychology. And so you ended up taking a Harvard course, basically for the course without the certificate so that you could learn psychology and learn everything that normally everybody else would learn, but without at the end of it getting a certificate, which I think is an incredible thing that you would actually go to that level of doing that. But now to where you are, which is, in a sport which is traditionally male dominated, I want you to talk a little bit about why mental performance and specifically in motorsport, how important that is. I mean, they're focused on engineering, they're focused on mechanics and the physical ability and even the nutrition part of it. So how how are you breaking ground in a industry that's really, they're not thinking about the mental performance coaching, they're thinking about the performance-based coaching. So how are you breaking into that with your expertise?
This is fantastic question. First of all, I have sometimes the feeling that in motorsport, we are forgetting the drivers, like literally. We talk so much about car performance, and this is where we have whole mechanics and engineering and everything. And yet there is the most important thing in this car. This is the heart of the car, and this is the driver. And yes, it is now very common. Obviously, everybody realized that the racing driver is an athlete. So every racing driver has physical training. But somehow, on this way, even if we realized on the path that, oh, yeah, nutrition, maybe it is also important what I eat, yes, so I am strong. But nobody was thinking about the brain. And until now, when I talk with racing drivers, I am so surprised because in different disciplines, it's so normal that next to physical training, you have also mental training. You're literally exercising your brain. And in motorsport, they look at me like I came from another planet, like, lady, what do you want? I am normal. I have no mental problems. So what do you want? There is totally big misunderstanding between mental health and mental performance. Mental performance is the thing that where you don't feel so self-confident, when you think that you cannot do something, you cannot achieve something. This is mental performance that helps you to go on this next level, to build more self-confidence, to get control over your emotions, because we can see it from karting to Formula One that so many drivers, they have no control over their emotions. And when we don't have control over the emotions, then obviously our performance will be poorer. So still trying to explain people that mental performance is something totally different, and our brain works like a muscle, so you have to train it.
Amazing. And so my next question is, what separates those elite performers from everyone else? Is it talent or is it mindset?
Wow, this is actually a mixture of many things. Normal people wait for motivation to come, seeing that, oh, I'm just not disciplined, like discipline was something inborn. They just didn't used to live like elite athlete, because we know that athletes, they start very early, right? So they learn discipline, they learn sacrifice from very early in their lives. In motorsport, it's like from 6 7, you learn already that yes, you have to train, yes, you have your races. It means you have maybe not that much time for your friends, right? Mm, for fun. But I think here the question would be even more like interesting, the difference between very good athletes and then the champions, because there is the tiny difference, because obviously we have so many good drivers, right? But not every good driver is a champion. And champion is for me someone who exactly can overcome all the challenges, is able to put the mind, the way of thinking on success and not challenges, problems. This is definitely a driver that will not whine about everything, that will not show all the time the aggression and put the fault on everything and everybody else but himself, or nowadays herself. This is, I think, just a tiny gap between great athletes and the champions. And the champions, for me, I love to watch them because these people, they have here something else. Their mind, their brain just works differently.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because as you're talking, I was having a chat yesterday with Miles Chamley, and we talked about, mental performance yesterday. And, he had an example, and he has actually a tattoo that says, before you can learn how to win, you must learn how to lose. And so that for me stuck out because it's like in business as well. It's like before you can actually succeed, you have to learn how to fail. And it's really the lessons that come with failure or the lessons that come with losing. And that is what our mind has got to get over, because just because we've lost doesn't mean that we're not worthy. And
Mm-hmm.
so building that muscle, building that strength where you can just change it in an instant and go, let's move on from this point. I've got to build for my next, right? I'm on to my next race. I'm on to my next product launch. I'm on to, the next day my next meeting. It's even the word no, being told no as a business person, right? Recovering from that no, we have to exercise our mental muscles to, have the ability to say, okay, that's no, I'm going for the yes. And so that is really important. And I'm so glad that you're doing this work because I've seen it myself in people in the business world, not exercising their mental muscle in their head. And I can see how it translates to absolutely everything.
Yes, and this what you just said. I think many, especially young drivers, they should listen to it, because I can give you hundreds of examples that, for example, parents, they don't even want to hear about mental coaching because, oh, my child wins. Just because the child win, it doesn't matter that the child doesn't need mental coaching, because exactly the moment will come when the child will not win, and then not having the tools how to deal with losing. This is when problems start. And
Mm,
this is something so powerful. Even when we move forward in career, yes, from karting, for example, to Formula 4, to Formula 3, to Formula 2, how many times you will hear no from the team? And this is what you just said. This is the rejection. And if you don't know how to deal with rejection, you will go in the doubts, self-doubts. You will start questioning all your talent, all your future as a racing driver. And this, you could actually spare all these problems for yourself if you would train your brain to focus on something that is important, and how to understand the rejection, how to understand the mechanism of not maybe being the best because of something. Because we know sometimes you can be the best on the grid, and yet your engine had failure, and that's it, right? Or you got a crash because someone bumped into you, like even on purpose sometimes. You have to learn how to deal with this. So thank you also that you shared, because this is really worth of gold, what you just said.
Well, thank you. And that's what I love so much about the work that you're doing. It really it is far bigger than just the racing world and on the tracks with the race drivers. Like it's really something that translates to building a company, to when you're leading in a company, to raising a family, or even to speaking on stage and preparing to speak on stage. Pressure is pressure, and we have to learn how to overcome that pressure and like lock into exactly what you're doing. So, in that vein, I think there's huge opportunities for women to level up their game. So, I want to switch the conversation to what women can learn from elite athletes about the performance, about performing under pressure.
Well, the most important thing is that we women, we have in our brain patterns. Patterns are just the things that we learned. And unfortunately, little girls, they are raised in different way, obviously, than guys. So we should always be quiet and polite and never in front. And then we have ladies that want to go to business world, and they are very talented, and also even to sport, or entertainment business. Yes, you have all these ladies dreaming about career as actress, singer, producer. And then first thing that comes into my mind, oh, maybe it's too much. Maybe I will not manage. I'm not able. Maybe I want too much. All of this comes from our female side. And first of all, first thing that we have to do is to unlearn all those things that are limiting us, because we are as capable as men, if not sometimes more, depending on things. We are, for example, much more skilled in organization, multitasking, because this is automatically what every woman does at home. Yes, taking care of home, taking care of husband, of children, of work. Then when the child is bigger and bigger, all these meetings, first in preschool, then at school, then all these activities all around the school, play dates, and wow, I'm just tired right now thinking about this, right? And women, they do it just like this. So we have to unlearn seeing ourselves so small, and
Oh
that
my
we
God.
cannot.
Yes. This is the power era. And that's why I love you so much. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm going to say, as you're talking about it, I'm even thinking about my own journey of resilience, how I had to mentally be so strong every single day. I actually, that was part of my training, getting through my court, getting through my 7 year journey. And then the next 7 years, I really used my brain. That muscle is super strong, but I didn't know what I was doing, obviously, as I just instinctively was doing that for survival. But I recognize now looking back, that was the piece that I was constantly feeding myself positive self-talk and belief, where I was like, what happened to you before isn't where you are now, and where you are now isn't where you're going. And so I think that is something super valuable. Like you have just, retraining that brain is super important. Whatever experience that is pulling you down is not the experience that you should be taking with you to your next.
Mhm. Very often, traumatic experiences can cause in a woman to do something like you did, intuitively going through all these barriers, all these limitations. Unfortunately, you are one of not many examples that
I
it
used it for
goes
good.
this way. Yeah, this is very important to know that, first of all, we don't wish anyone traumatic experiences. And if we have, I would say, an ordinary life, meaning going to school, then going to work, then starting our family, this need of stepping up that powerfully will never be fired up.
True.
Yes,
True.
sometimes when we go through such traumatic events, we have no other choice.
Correct.
We either step up and like not one level, it's like 100
It's
million levels.
1,000%.
Yep. Or we will literally give up our lives totally. And
Mm.
this obviously nobody wants to do. And this is where many, many powerful ladies, most of them, they have a history that gives us goosebumps.
Yep, it's true. It's like if you don't have a reason to step up and use this to its full capacity, you really never know the full capacity of your power. And so
Hmm.
I have always said that, everything that I've gone through, that I am, it's been like the biggest gift for me, not while I was going through it, but the biggest gift because I know my power and it's
Hmm.
unstoppable, right? Like I've tapped into that. Not very many people have been able to do that, but you work with people to tap into that,
Exactly.
regardless that don't have to go through trauma, but you can untap that with people. Is
Exactly.
that correct?
Exactly. So I am the safer path.
You are the safer path. No
Yes.
detours, no trauma, directly to Carly.
No. Exactly. Because our brain can learn everything, literally everything. I have seen really ladies that were coming to me with business. They wanted already to close the business. They were in huge debts. And after half a year of really hard work, I will never say that this is like, oh, easy way to do this. Really hard work for 6 months. And they managed to turn like everything 180 degrees, paying out debts, business growing so fantastically that not only debt was paid, they started to make really huge money.
Mm, amazing.
But this was just result of the work that they were doing on themselves.
Mm. So my next question, this leads so well into my next question about confidence. Um, so many women struggle with confidence, and from your perspective as a mental performance coach, where does confidence actually come from? Is it built?
Self-confidence, I like even more the word self picture. Like, how do you see yourself? Because obviously we talk so much about self-confidence. Everyone, literally everyone. But exactly what is this? And we can go now through official definitions that everybody will look like, hey, what are you talking about? Think about self-confidence, what you think you are able to achieve. If you think you can achieve this little, you have little self-confidence. If you think you can achieve so much, you have bigger self-confidence. Self-confidence is something you have to work on. There is self-confidence sort that people think is kinda in a person, like part of your character. And this self-confidence is unfortunately depending on the things that are happening outside of you. But
Absolutely.
unfortunately, as long as we are dependent on the circumstances, we are never truly in control of anything that is happening. So for me, this self-confidence, this doesn't matter. And I even wrote an article like I think 2, 3 weeks ago about exactly very dangerous confidence in motorsport. And this is this confidence, you hear it, for example, this way. Oh, when I drive well, when the car is good, then I am confident. This is not confidence. The confidence should be, even in my car is very bad and I drove like a moron today, I know what I am capable of. This is
I love that.
confidence.
No driving like a
Yeah.
moron. So
No.
you know that our theme,
Still, we can
Carolee,
have
is
sometimes bad days, right?
I think we had a little bit of a delay here. It must be the long distance between us today. But you know that our theme is the power era. So we believe women, I believe with every cell in my body, that we're really stepping into a really exciting era where women are fully stepping into their power. They're stepping into the visibility, their leadership, their influence. And so I want to know what stepping into your power means to you, Carolee.
Wow. First of all, yay, exactly. Women finally, showing what they are capable of. Um, I would love to say here something that maybe will not be that popular, but I think that all powerful women are not women that try to also fight the guys, like, this wrong understood emancipation. And I also know that you think the same. It should be women with the men, right? So I think that exactly the power era and, coming in our power, it's not only trying to prove ourselves against the men, but showing we can as well as they can do, and we can work together. It doesn't have to be that, oh, now we have to have all teams only women, or that all our surrounding should be only female. No, we should be those powerful ladies next to powerful guys, all together.
Oh, you're preaching my choir. Yes. We had a great conversation the very first time about support hers and welcoming men to the conversation. And I shared that, 8 years into this, it still feels like this conversation really needs a lot of light. But how it's going to happen is by having powerful women talk about it, like yourself. And it's going to have visible role models that are men, like the Miles of the world talk about it, like the Lewises of the world talk about it. Like even Susie, I mean, she's a powerful force, but she works together with her man. And you know what? I guess that's what I get more excited about with what we're doing with the Power Era is really bringing to light those conversations and bringing together those leaders, because that is action and that is change. So I want to dive into now, since you started with it, was about support her and inviting men to the conversation. And we talked about the real change that happens when that does happen, when men and women work together. So throughout your career, what role have male allies played in your success? And then why is it so important for men to be part of that continued conversation to champion women?
Well, first of all, if I look at my career, for 99% of my career, I worked only with men. So already this says something. And I started to work with women only from the moment when I started to give business coaching. And now in motorsport, as you know, female part of motorsport is like in baby shoes. We only start. So yes, this is totally male dominated, and the business I was before in was also male dominated. Yet I see the difference, because in business, in company, where there were like, let's say 90% of men, it was still fine. You didn't have to prove yourself 100 million more as a woman. And yes, sometimes there were problems, but they were rather on cultural basis, that in some countries, men, they don't like to see a woman on higher position. But in Europe or in the States, because we also worked with the States, it was so normal that, are like 10 men and one woman. In motorsport, it's different. It's totally different. And you see women either like, oh, wow, there is a woman. Or, for example, when you see right now in karting, because there are many girls in karting, you see that the guys, drivers, they are triggered by it. And if they see that the girl, for example, overtakes them, they tend to take the girl out of track. So this is a very funny thing to observe, how in motorsport somehow this male thinking like, oh, this is only for men and a girl is weaker, so she cannot neither win with me or overtake me or whatever. This is very funny to observe. And yet I think that we have some very powerful guys who understood that if we combine male and female, we are literally programmed to win, because women bring something else to the table than guys. And I just love, we have some guys who really, really put this kind of movement out there. I think you can even tell the stories. You were in Las Vegas, right? With
Yes, like Flava Flav,
Flavor Flav.
like standing up loud and
Yes,
proud for women.
exactly. So yes, we have those kind of guys who really cheer for women in sports, in business. And I think that these men, they make our life easier, because it feels like, okay, sometimes maybe we are not welcomed, sometimes we are not appreciated, but we on another door or another door, we will find those guys who not only are fine with us, but they even cheer our success.
I see that happening. It's not enough, and that's why we're really determined to invite those supporters to the table about being ambassadors and visible allies. But the trailblazers that we've seen for women that are carving that space, that are experts in the industry, I want to talk about Susie Wolf, because she is really reshaping. Like, I have her book right here, the one that Susie signed. I mean, OMG, right? Trailblazer. Um, but she is the managing director of the F1 Academy. And so she's always said, Toto has supported me in everything that I've done. He's opened doors for her to enable her to make change within the industry. So while she's helping reshape the industry of motorsport, how important do you think that visible role models are in changing that industry? And what more needs to happen to help support Susie, to invite more opportunities for you and coaches like you to be at that table?
Well, first of all, without role models, life of every new person will be super, super complicated. Because when you see one person that managed something, then there is something in your brain that says to you, oh, so maybe it is possible, right? If we don't
Absolutely.
have role models, then we very often we will have this kind of doubt, like questioning, is it possible, like at all? So thanks to people like Susie Wolf, we see, okay, it's possible for me as a woman to have a place as a racing driver, as engineer, as whoever, right? Because obviously it's not like this that there are not no women in motorsport, but they do all these soft jobs, yes, marketing, HR, executive assistant, things like this. So this is everything women, women, women. But on the track, We didn't see like anyone, literally anyone. And then you have people like Susie coming there. She was a driver. She knows what she talks about. And she shows, hey, let's do something. Yes, thankfully, with her husband together. Wow, this is even more beautiful. Yes, when you see marriage of two wonderful performant people who go, in the same direction. It's so beautiful. But she shows us, yes, there is a possibility. And yes, F1 Academy gives possibility to female drivers to at least show them, if they are slow, here we are, right? Don't forget about us. Give us the chance to go from F1 Academy, for example, to Formula 3. Give us the chance. Here we are. And without people like Susie, we would be still at the table having discussions
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
about action.
yes, what is possible? What could we do? And thanks to people like Susie, we already started.
Mm,
Obviously, it's not easy because, as you know, motorsport is the most expensive sport worldwide. So, obviously, there are stakeholders and such big players that you cannot just come and say, yeah, I want to be here. So, obviously, also, all the guys that have right now jobs, they look, for example, I know the conversations I had. I know few performance coaches from Formula One, and they were not happy to share any information, and they were not happy that I have super results with my drivers from karting to Formula 2. I worked until Formula 2. They didn't like the fact that I know how to bring people on podium, on P1, meaning to the win. Because, yes, they cannot do this as physical coaches. Yes, they can prepare the drivers. Yes. But at the end, if driver wins or not, it is not depending on physical coach. So they don't want to be my friends. And even if I don't want their job, because I think that driver also needs physical coach and needs physiotherapist and needs nutritionist, they don't want to be friends because they are afraid of losing jobs. And I can understand it, this kind of fear. Yes, when you are already in Formula One, you want to hold it. But it doesn't matter because
mm,
motorsport is also growing and the girls are coming. And to be honest, who can understand women, women with their bodies, if not another women? So I am more sure, yes, some time, but there will be more and more of female, not only drivers, but also workers in very important roles, not only Formula 4 or Formula 3, but we will go until Formula 1. We have already few
absolutely.
girls that are like, we know all these girls that are working as engineers already in Formula One. It's coming. But as I said before, without role models, it would be difficult because it's always difficult to be the first one.
Absolutely. And so thank you to Susie Wolf for being the first one taking the lead on that. Um, Susie's one of the women that we would love to have for our Global Woman of Inspiration Summit. So we're working on that because there's a really great opportunity to expand that conversation. And it's a global sport. It's a conversation that's not just only for women. It's about inviting those men that can open the doors to enable that sport to really, really flourish. Like I look at the opportunities myself in every underrepresented industry. I mean, motorsport is definitely the pinnacle just because of the financial, outlay that you have to do, and you have to start so young to get into it. But I think there's such great opportunities for women to succeed in that sport, for opportunities at every level. Um, And we do need that role modeling. We do need those conversations. So thank you for everything that you're doing on your
Definitely.
end because it's taking a village. It's really having those conversations here, taking action on it, bringing people to the table that have aligned values and believe in the same mission and goal. And I think there's actually really opportunities for if the men aren't willing to listen about the performance of the importance of the mental performance, maybe it's where the girls can have an upper ledge. Just saying.
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe.
We will
Anyways,
see. The time will show.
the time will tell. Well, we're excited to have those conversations and, of course, celebrate the supporters as well on that journey. So, we're getting to be sort of coming up near the end. I want to talk a little bit about now, about celebrating women, because, of course, Woman of Inspiration, I've built it over the past decade. We've celebrated women leaders and supporters from around the globe. But what does it mean to you as a woman to be celebrated? And, why do you believe that celebrating women really does matter?
Well, this is a very interesting. This is what I'm teaching my business clients, that we should celebrate our even smallest win.
Beautiful.
Guys somehow learned it pretty fast. They are also being celebrated if we look at the really high performant guys. Ladies, they are never celebrated for being fantastic mothers, housewives, cooking great meals at home. It's everything taken for granted. And this is why, especially women, they didn't learn not only to celebrate themselves, but also to be celebrated. And this is so important that we made it clear. We make it clear every single day. Whatever you accomplish, even the tiniest things, if you don't have anyone in your surrounding to celebrate you, celebrate yourself.
Absolutely. Mic drop on that one. Yes,
And
celebrate your own accomplishments. I am like, we have the awards program that we've actually expanded from not just nominate and waiting for that opportunity, it's apply. Like, take the responsibility of celebrating and taking that own opportunity. Don't wait for somebody to do it for you. And I think that honestly, I almost want to get away from the nominate piece because I truly do believe that when you are working towards something, you have to start with yourself. As Emma Grede has like proven over and over again, she wrote this great book called Start With Yourself. And it's really true. You are the only one that can actually make those things happen. And so I love your enforcement for, just reconfirming that because I got to tell you, I have a lot of conversations with women. It's always an issue of, they think that it's ego. So what's
Mhm.
your take on that? Because one of the barriers from women that I speak with or that I heard is, yes, they know they're great, but what gets them in the way of celebrating or stepping into the spotlight is that whole thing about, well, I don't want everybody to think that, I'm just high on myself or an ego. And I'm like, this is not a time to be hung. This is not a time to be humble, ladies. We got to own the spotlight. We got to claim what we're worth. We got to take up space. This is the power era. What do you think?
Well, two things here. First thing is still connected to this previous one, celebrating yourself, but also surround yourself with same-minded people who exactly will celebrate you. This is the first thing. And second thing, sometimes ladies are even super, super good at something, and exactly they have no self-confidence because seeing yourself small, avoiding spotlight. This is the sign of having teeny tiny self-worth. And self-worth is connected to self-confidence. And this is something that you work on with mental performance coach. Because imagine if you are already a lady that achieve huge things, seeing yourself so small, hey, what will you accomplish if you start to really see yourself as powerful as you are? Boy, I'm scared even to think about this right now.
I'm like, I am like fangirling you because you are Camp Monica. Like, you would think, like, that's why we had such a great conversation with Monica, because I'm completely on that same path. And the more that we talk about it, I mean, more we can have more women like you shout it from the rooftops, the easier it's going to be for many others to like jump on board. But I love your connection too, as you said. The lower self-confidence are the ones that aren't willing to step out into the uncomfortable, or step out and to grab that spotlight and own their worth. It really measures the confidence level of the individual. And I see that day in, day out. So,
Hmm.
thank you for doing the work that you're doing to help women achieve mental performance so they can embrace their full potential. Like, oh my God, like we're just on the tip of so many incredible things, and women are leading it. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about you. And you have helped so many people unlock their potential. So now I want to turn the spotlight on you. What is one belief that you had to let go of in order to become the woman who you are today?
Oh, I had so many limiting beliefs that you would not even really believe that I could have had. But like the worst one, I was literally sure that I am worth nothing.
Shocking.
Yeah. I remember after getting divorced, the thoughts that were in my brain. I have to be worth nothing because my husband doesn't want to be married to me. He cheated on me. Boah, it means I am no worth of anything. And this was really like a huge stone on my back that I had to carry with me every single day. And only when I realized that I am worth of everything, I am, God's daughter. I deserved everything the best. Only then I started to improve my career from being just an assistant, of um, a regional guy, going like literally within 1 year and a half to headquarters, being an executive assistant of a guy who had 80 factories and 80,000 people all over the world. Like there was not a higher position afterwards. And I decided to move to Monaco, even if everybody was saying, oh, it will be so complicated and it's impossible and blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, I started my own business. I traveled the world on my own with my friends. Only when I lost this huge yoke that was this zero self worth.
Mm. So, was there one thing that really hit you like a lightning bolt that changed that for you?
I went to mental coaching.
Okay. So, you practice what you preached.
Well, I started to learn. It is like there is a saying when the student is ready, the teacher will show up.
Mm.
So at that time, I really attracted a person who did this kind of work. And this changed my mindset. From
Mm.
very negative, pessimistic person, I became very positive person. I understood a little bit how brain really operates. Then I started to learn more and more and more, like quantum physics, neuroscience. And from then on, I know that when we want, we are unstoppable.
Mm. Beautiful. So, the power of belief and exercising the biggest muscle in your brain that we can't see is really unlocking your true potential.
Yes. The potential is only here. It's not, in your biceps.
Are you sure they're not in mine? Because I've been working out too. You
Yay!
can't see, but here you go.
Well, we have muscles, right? But the full potential is here. And to
Beautiful.
be honest, we are not even tapping to the full potential because we still don't know the brain, like really. Neuroscience and everything, this is everything new. The sciences are not a very long time with us. So we still don't know 100% what we are capable of, but this what we know already shows huge difference.
Beautiful. Well, I had a great chat with you again. We could talk another hour, but we're coming close to the end here. And so this is the Woman of Inspiration podcast. Caroli, I would love to know what your definition of a woman of inspiration is.
Wow. And you for sure want it very short. Well, for me, woman of inspiration is a woman that literally, when I look at her, I think, wow, it doesn't have to be huge win. It doesn't have to be, something connected to huge money, huge fame, but something that the challenges that she managed to overcome. For me, you are a woman of inspiration. For me, there are people like Susie that are women of inspiration, but also one of my neighbors. When I look at her life and how she still keeps on going, this is also inspiring.
Beautiful. I think that the woman of inspiration really is, they walk beside us every single day. They walk
Yes.
beside us and we bump shoulders with them in every single room because I've always believed that every woman has a story and your story doesn't define you, it empowers you.
Amen.
Amen. A woman.
Wow.
A woman. Caroli, thank you so much for joining us today. It was absolutely incredible, as always, to have you on officially on the Woman of Inspiration podcast. To the listeners, if this resonated with you, please share it widely. There is going to be that woman that is going to be listening to this podcast, and she's going to be saying thank you for sharing, Caroli. And that's what happens. It's the ripple effect. It's life changes in 30 seconds, right? And listening to other women see what is possible, showing you the way is how it happens. So thank you, Caroli, for stepping into the spotlight and sharing your words of wisdom with us today on the Woman of Inspiration podcast. How can listeners get a hold of you to learn more about your mental performance growth and coaching?
Well, the easiest is I am super busy on Instagram and LinkedIn. So if someone finds me there, I will answer.
Perfect. Just a DM. How simple is that?
Very
And
simple.
say, I heard you podcast.
Yes, exactly.
And I look forward to welcoming you to the Global Woman of Inspiration Summit coming in from Monaco. And let's have a bigger conversation. I really, truly appreciate you, my friend. And thank you, listeners, for joining us here. It's been a real treat. So if something has inspired you, please share with the world. And we'll see you again real soon on the Woman of Inspiration podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caroli.